All right, y'all, this is Jen with In Love Birthing, and I am back for a second night. And I'm so glad to be back into the shoot, talking about the stuff that I love most, bumps, birthing, and babies. So tonight, I am actually responding to a quote that's going around the doula community, right? And so it was a quote that was given by a medical professional who really just questioned the I guess you could say like the validity of why a doula is purposeful in the birth room. So check this out. So I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna go through some things tonight and really not from a defensive posture, but an education process posture, because not only am I a birth doula, but I'm also a childbirth educator, which means education is what I do. And I absolutely love it. And I love it because it allows people to change their posture when they're approaching their birthing season. So check this out. So 25 to 30% of women who birth in America experience some type of birth trauma. Those are alarming thoughts, 25 to 34%, right? And so when we talk about birth trauma, what we're talking about is any kind of negative experience that they go through, mainly because they are birthing. Now, that could be any number of things. So that's kind of like a personal internal thing. And that's according to patch.org, which is a website that Penny Simpkins, or foundation that Penny Simpkins kind of runs. So the maternal mortality rate in America is the highest. Listen to this. In America, in the United States of America, the maternal mortality rate is the highest among the developed nations. Why is that? That's alarming. That's concerning, because we are one of the most influential countries in the world, and yet our mothers are the most vulnerable birthing here. So within that conversation, like, we have to discuss, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screen and I'm distracted because I can't tell if it's a shadow. I don't know what I'm looking at right now, but I'm rolling with it, y'all. So the maternal mortality rate, it's the highest among the developed countries. And what I found on the CDC is that the CDC will put it in context of numbers. And so they say, well, only this many numbers of women actually die every year. And the question then poses for me is, why are you speaking in numbers and not percentages? And then why are you speaking in totality of the country? Because I know for a fact that in the DMV area where I currently reside, that in Washington, D.C., the numbers are staggering. The numbers are about 42 women die every year. So the average, when you average that out across the country, you actually bring those numbers down. But it's really important to talk specifics about the city that you live in, because that changes your birth journey, right? Okay, so Black maternal mortality. So we have to talk about this. Black maternal mortality is 3 to 4 times higher than their Caucasian counterparts, and so, or their white counterparts, however you have that conversation. And so then we have to explain, why is that? So one of the leading causes of maternal mortality actually has a lot, not even one. So there's several different causes of maternal mortality. And one of the primary things that it circles around is the heart. Now check this out. So the heart, while you are pregnant, actually, I'm not going to say actually. So the heart, while you are pregnant, it has to produce, I'm going to use that word, it actually has to produce more than when you're not pregnant. Why is that? Because now we are pumping blood for another entirely different human, right? And so the heart increases its production level, right? It increases its production level, so it's beating, boom, 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 right? And it's going, right? But what is also happening is, what is also happening is the blood volume doubles. So not only is it working harder, but it's working harder with a lot more than it used to work, right? And so the blood vessels also dilate. So all the blood vessels in your body actually grow, and they're now moving blood faster. Why is this a problem? well, it's not necessarily a problem so long as you were in good condition previously. Now, if you were not in good condition, this may pose a problem, because if you're not taking care of your heart in your everyday life, and I'm talking about I'm talking about all of the things. Look, like we as Americans, we really have to like start taking an inward check on how we function our body, because we are literally running our bodies into the ground just to keep up with who, you know what I mean? Like we stay up real late, we eat garbage, you know, like, and I'm sorry, literal garbage, but as far as like the processed food, like there are countries in the world that will not sell products from America, like specific products from America, because their government does not agree with the stuff that our government puts into the food. Like that should be concerning. That should be alarming to us, you know? And so how we take care of our heart, how we take care of our body. Are we working out? Are we exercising? Are we sleeping? Do we at least drink water? Come on now. And so all these things play a factor in your pregnancy, but then also in your birthing time. Because if you are not physically prepared to birth, like if your body, like I could talk about some things like birthing is a full body workout. There's no part of birth that doesn't require all of your strength, all of your energy, and all of your attention. And so we lack, can I say it like that? I'm gonna say it like that, y'all. So we lack value for ourselves, right? And then we get pregnant and then we're like, oh, well, maybe I should do something extra, but then we don't really do it because we have not already developed the consistency in our normal lifestyle. And so once we get pregnant, we're now falling behind like that self-care. And I'm not talking about hair and makeup. Look, I'm tired of talking about self-care and hair and makeup. It's so much deeper than that. And so we put ourselves at a disadvantage when we walk into our birth room, because our body is producing at like an overwhelming rate. Like there's a lot going on, right? And so we wind up with the maternal mortality at the numbers that it is and stuff like that. We wind up with birth trauma at the rates that it is. And so so doulas, how do doulas walk into the room? So doulas walk into the room at the sole request of mom. Come on now. Like mom has a very specific role in whether or not a doula shows up. So case in point. So nurses, you don't get to choose your nurse. Doctors, you don't get to choose your doctor. You might see the same doctor all 40 weeks, but you do not know if that is the doctor that's going to tend to you. Now, granted, look, I'm gonna put it out there. If you don't like the nurse who's tending to you, go ahead and ask for another one, because there are other nurses on duty and they can swap rooms if they have to. So if you don't like the nurse that you're dealing with, go ahead and ask for another one. But you only have a selection of those who are on duty, right? So the doula is there specifically at the request of mom. So you have at this time, right, because COVID restrictions, at this time you have the ability to have your birth partner, whether your spouse, whoever that is, your spouse, significant other, however you have that conversation, and a doula. So you have two support partners in most hospitals. Look, I am fully aware that in certain communities, they only allow one. And I think that's a disadvantage, because here's the conversation we're going to have. So you have your support partner, whoever that may be, and they've never been in a birth room. So you go into your birthing time blind, right? You don't have anybody on your side who's seen this before. And now you guys are like, we just got to figure this out. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to figure it out according to what the medical staff tells you to. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that may not be an advantageous thing. That may not be a thing that leads you in the right direction for the birth that you want. Now, a lot of people, they go into their birth and like, hey, look, I've only heard negative stories. I know this is going to wind up bad. So let's get this ball rolling. I won't say most, there are some people who get pregnant and they already know they're getting a C-section. And that's something for the individual to determine for themselves. And at the same time, if that's not your story, if that's not the story that you want, well, we back that train up and we say, how can I put, come on now, how can I put buffers in line that are going to get me, that are going to assist me, right? Because a doula can't get you the birth that you want, but they can surely assist you. They can surely tell you, hey, this train is veering off tracks. We need to get this one back on. Like, hey, you've been in that bed for an awfully long time. Let's get up and move this body. Like, how about you take this squat real quick? Let's see if we can open up those hips. Let's change positions. There's so much that a doula can do that a nurse and a doctor cannot and will not do for you, because doctors and nurses are not just there for you. A doctor and a nurse are there for the entire floor. And so they have to be specific and intentional with each one, and they only spend a certain amount of time. And so they will come in, they'll check your vitals, and they're going to leave right now. Specifically, can we be accurate? Can we be upfront? They're just collecting data. That's exactly what they're doing. You are just another process. Like, you're just another process on their steps, their checkboards. They need to be able to say, we've done everything that we could do for this person. Now, it's different with a doula. Like, a doula is there for continual support. This means, like, your doula should not and would not leave your side. Now, I'm going to say should not first and would not, because, like, as a doula, we would not leave your side, but we should not also, because there are some doulas that don't actually perform the way they ought to. But that's another story. That's another story. So they should not leave your side, because this is their purpose. This is their purpose. They are there for physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual support, because there are some doulas out there who will pray the walls down on your behalf. And there are some doulas who will show up with all the rocks and the crystals and the oils and all of the things for you on your behalf. They will take the mood that you're in, and they'll create this bubble, this bubble around you, so that you know that you're safe. They will reflect back to you the things that you've already said about your birthing time, so that you know that you can do hard things, so that you know that even though this is tough and it's difficult and it gets scary, that there's no part of you that's not able to push right through it and stuff like that. And I've looked women in the eye, and they've looked at me in terror, because they were not sure if they were safe. And I keep it 100. Hey, look, you got this. This is what you do. There's no part of you that is not going to come through on the other side. You have this next contraction. Let's go with it, And so, all right, so what else? So I talked about don't go blind. I talked about don't go in blind, because I think it's great. Look, I think it's great to have a support partner there and stuff like that. I think it's necessary. I'm a big fan of husbands in the birth room. My husband was there for every single one of my births, and he knows me best. And so if anybody is going to apply pressure, if anybody is going to talk me off the cliff, I want him to be the one to do it. But I know that he ain't never birthed a baby. I know that unless I am mentally sound, he's not sure what to do. I know that having a doula in my birth room is absolutely necessary, because when it comes to the point of uncertainty, he does not have exactly what it takes, because he doesn't linger in the birth room as much as, well, a doula does, as much as I have. So, and the truth is, I can't doula myself. Look, I've tried, it didn't work. So continual physical, emotional support. So there was a statement that was made recently, and it was by a medical professional. And this is how the topic got started. Look, I could talk about some things. So a statement was made recently, and the medical professional said, well, you really shouldn't hire a doula, because it's a lot of money. Check this out. It's a lot of money for just one day. I want to let you know that on average, a doula is like 10 times less than the doctor bills that you're going to receive. So one, if you have a vaginal birth, unmedicated vaginal birth, that'll run you maybe like $3,000 to $5,000. And if you're not paying it, your insurance surely will. If you get an epidural, that bumps the ante, and that takes you from about $7,000 to $9,000, right? But if you have a C-section, look, so one with the epidural, the anesthesiologist is going to get paid whether or not they give you an epidural. And so there becomes a conflict of interest within the hospital, because either the hospital is going to pay out of pocket, or the hospital wants to charge the insurance company. So it's it's actually in their advantage to make sure that that anesthesiologist is getting the work that they need. And so above that, so we have C-sections. C-sections will run you 10 to 12, I want to say. 10 to 12, maybe 13. And so when you look at the cost of your birthing time. Now, of course, this money is not coming out of your pocket. It's not usually coming out of your pocket, but it's definitely coming from the insurance company. And of course, I'm going to put the disclaimer out there. It varies from state to state. Beyond that, like we got to look at your birthing time. Check this out. This always hits heavy for me. So your birthing time, like the way and the day that your baby is born into the earth, man, that's day one of mommyhood. Come on. Like, I love that stuff because there's two being born that day. Like that, it changes your perspective on life. Being a mom is different, right? Like you could be an adult. Look, I was a good adult, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, but when I became a parent, like, it changed the way I did life. And so it changes the way you enter your postpartum season, whether or not you have a support team that is really in it for you or simply just checking a box. And so having that support, having that continual encouragement, having that, that inner strength that bubbles up because that, like so-and-so is on your birth team and they're just gonna, they're gonna keep you hyped and ready to go for the next contraction and stuff like that. That is what flows. That's what, how do I say that properly? That's what catapults. Look, there's so many words I can use. That's what catapults you into your postpartum time. But the challenge with postpartum is that 1 in 4 women struggle with postpartum depression to some degree after they give birth. I would question whether or not 1 in 4, listen to this, 1 in 4 women struggle with postpartum depression when they enter into their postpartum time. So I want you to think back to the numbers I gave in the beginning about birth trauma, 25 to 34%. 25, if it's 25%, that's a 1 in 4. Right? Because 25 is 1%. You know what I mean? It's the 1 in 4 ratio and stuff like that. And so when you think about it like that, birth trauma ties into postpartum depression, which ties into other challenges, whether it's with the relationship, with the relationship with the child, with the relationship with the spouse, with the, you know what I mean? Like with the relationship with yourself, because there's a lot of birth trauma that will turn inward and say, I'm not cut out for this. When in reality, if you have the support that tells you, hey, you can do hard things, like this is not too big for you. You know what I mean? Like I've been in birth rooms where women walked out, and they were like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. And I was like, and it wasn't because of anything I didn't do. It was because they trusted, the medical professionals that were tending to them. And there's so much toxicity in that birth, in that overall birth season and in that specific birthing time and stuff like that. But no woman should ever walk away from birth like that. No woman should ever walk away from birth like that. Like, because it doesn't propel them with strength and power and confidence and, and pizzazz that says that I am a mom and there's nothing I can't do. Like when we talk about those mama bears and stuff like that, where's that courage come from? It comes from the birth room, man. Like there's nothing I can't do. Why do I have that? Because I have something in me that says, doggone it, there's nothing I can't do, and so when babies are, when little tiny humans are up in the middle of the night and they're howling at the moon and you're trying to get them back to sleep, like you go back to those moments and it's like, man, like I know I've already done hard things. Like this baby don't got more intestinal fortitude than I do, you know what I mean? Like, look, sometimes you have to be like that. Like these kids are cute, but they will, they'll howl at the moon and you'll have to have something in you that doesn't want to give up. You'll have to have something in you that says, I won't quit. You'll have to have something in you that says that there's nothing I can't do. And this moment, come on, because that's every contraction. This moment right here is temporary. Look, said all that to say, your pregnancy, it rolls into your birthing time. Your birthing time rolls into your postpartum time. Women are left overwhelmingly vulnerable in their postpartum time because we simply don't talk about the things that go on. You know, we have an expectation that life is just going to get back to normal. It gets back to normal for everybody else, but there was a significant emotional event that occurred in the birthing time, and it changes you for your postpartum time. Having the proper support for that season is so important. So said all that to say, in the next couple of days, I'll be putting out some more information about the postpartum group that that I'm collaborating with. And it's going to be in support for women who, you know, they are looking for answers in this season. They're looking for answers. They're looking for solutions to, you know, the challenges they're facing, stuff like that. And really to support them through the process, because we're all going through something. And if we were more intentional, we could really relate better to women in their postpartum season, because it really is a great change, a great process that they're going through. So if you know anybody who is pregnant or, you know, entering into their postpartum journey and stuff like that, who just needs another layer of support and stuff like that, please let us know. Reach out to us. I love to talk about everything from bumps, birthing, and babies, because it's kind of what I do. So this is Jen with In Love Birthing. I will be back tomorrow, and we'll be talking about we're going to talk more about postpartum, I think. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk more about postpartum. So I'll see you guys soon, and y'all have a good night.